Hi, I'm Rick Anthony, and welcome to the Someone You Should Know podcast, the podcast that focuses on musicians, authors, and interesting people. We like to say we're making a difference one artist at a time. So sit back, have a cold one, and get ready to meet someone you should know. Today on the Someone You Should Know podcast, we're talking with an incredibly talented singer-songwriter whose career has spanned over 25 years. Her music has touched the hearts worldwide, from her early days of doing solo to becoming a duo with her son John in 1997. And this lady has been recognized by the Indie Music Channel Awards. It also made the Grammy ballot twice. And her recent song has earned a Platinum Disc Award on the AirplayExpress International Top 40 Country Chart. Will you please welcome my guest, Denise Miller? How are you, darling?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you for having me, Rick.
I'm glad to have you on, Denise. Congratulations on all those accolades. We'll get to those, but I want to start from the beginning. Let's talk about your first exposure to music and what inspired you to start writing and performing music.
I've always been interested in music. I started playing guitar at age 11 as a teenager, and through my early years, I played at coffee houses and things. Over the years, I started writing songs. I wasn't too serious about it until the late 90s when I started pitching them to different publishing companies in New York and then Nashville. And I did get a publishing contract out of Nashville with a company called Bill Ruby Music in 1995. There was not a recording, nothing, a cut did not come out of it, but it was validation that, my song is good and this is a legitimate contract. And my work was very happy. The job did put me in the company newsletter. Mm-hmm. So then around that time in the 90s, my son was taking bass lessons and I was writing, and his teacher said, I want you to write bass lines to the songs your mother's writing. So we started doing that. And as we started playing together, we said, hey, this sounds pretty good. And we played some coffee houses and restaurants and open mics and things. But that was the beginning of Denise Miller and Son. We put out a little local cassette tape in 97 called Rat Bike for a song I had written with the story of how my husband and I sold our 2 Harleys to buy one new one and then discovered there was a 2-year wait. So we weren't going to sit home. So he bought a $400 junky motorcycle, and then they refer to them as a rat bike, broken and dented and whatnot.
Right. Drag racing, it's called a rat rod. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So, the local newspaper picked up on it and stuff. Then in 2000, we decided to do our first CD. That was Crazy Horse by Denise Miller and Son. And it was the song Crazy Horse. I compared our veterans, especially the veteran motorcycle clubs, to Crazy Horse. Crazy Horse fought for his people's way of life, the way our veterans fight for our way of life. Awesome. And I made a connection between the two. Awesome.
Speaking as a veteran, I really and truly thank you so very much for that, Denise, because a lot of us veterans kind of get swept along the wayside here. Crazy Horse was very unique for you because you received worldwide recognition. How did it feel to have your music on an international scale?
When we did the album, we had it manufactured through a company called Disc Makers. Okay. And at the time with their packaging, they also they helped you get in with a distributor. And so they got us signed with the Orchard. Over the years, in 2015, the Orchard was taken over or picked up by Sony Music. So it's like a branch of Sony Music now. And through that, I was able to get more exposure to anything that I had online. And that's how you get on Spotify and Apple Music and all these things.
Right, exactly.
So that's how that started.
Well, wonderful. We like that. Do you have any plans of touring internationally?
No, I'm local. I read my tour is this. My goal is to have as many people as possible hear the song Richard, and for it to touch veterans and veterans' families, because my father and my uncle were both World War II veterans. So when I met a World War II veteran, I started talking to him which ended up resulting in the song.
Oh, awesome. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. We'll catch up back on that. I want to talk about in 2019, you released kind of a compilation called Through the Looking Glass. It had a variety of songs, including some new ones and such. And before we started here, she actually showed me this, what the album looks like. Tell us a little bit about the album, Denise, because it's kind of got a real nice little theme to it.
If you go online, it's available everywhere. The album is Through the Looking Glass by Denise Miller, and it says Denise Miller and Son under it. It started off as a project of me wanting to take the old original cassette tapes and have them upgraded onto digital because I was afraid of losing them. So I went to a recording studio to do that. Then while we were doing that, we said, well, let's throw, the songs from, Crazy Horse in there and give them a remix. And let's put this and the new songs. So it became a 30-song double CD. So it became a compilation of just about everything I've done, over 25 years. And the thing is, in the front, Through the Looking Glass, you're thinking about, you're reflecting on your life. And, the past, the present, and the future. And the front of the album is my son and I looking into an antique mirror. And there's old photographs of us in the mirror performing when he was like 15 years old. If you turn to the back cover of the CD, now the same mirror, we are both in the mirror now, and we're sitting there looking at you today.
I like it. It's
so
very past
to now.
Who came up with that idea?
Me.
There you go. Creative on many levels there.
And they did it there.
All right, very good. Hey, listen, the first song we're going to feature is the title of Through the Looking Glass. Can you tell us the backstory on the actual song?
The backstory to the song was I was thinking about, the idea is that you're looking in a mirror and you're reflecting back on everything in your life, the people that you knew, the experiences that you had, and, focusing up to today and possibly the future.
Very good. Let's feature that song right now. It's called Through the Looking Glass, and it's from Denise Miller, who is our guest this time on the Someone You Should Know podcast.
I'm standing in the mirror, I'm looking back at me, thinking of my life and who I've come to be. The road has been a long one, the time has gone so fast. I could see it all through the looking glass. The mirror holds my memories of who I used to be, the people that I loved, their images I see. The path that I am on, a glimpse of what will be. I could see it all through the looking glass. The looking glass is looking back at me, showing me the life that I lead, the lessons that
That's Through the Looking Glass from today's guest, Denise Miller. Denise joins me on this episode of the Someone You Should Know podcast. We've got some more great music and more conversation from Denise in a few seconds. But first, I want to say thank you so much for tuning into the Someone You Should Know podcast. Our good friends at Buzzsprout are the ones that share it to all the streaming platforms, 17 in all. And if it could be Apple Podcasts or Spotify, Apple Music, Podcast Addict, Good Pods, whatever you might be streaming on, just look for the Someone You Should Know podcast. We guarantee you're going to find it. And also, Buzzsprout is the one that tells us that our stats, I'm just blown away by this. In the 3.5 years that we've been doing this show, we are now heard in over 2,850 cities and now 107 countries around the world. I want to salute some of the new cities, including Loveland, Ohio, Villona, Arkansas, Islip, Long Island, New York, and Karaj in Iran. Iran is the 107th country, so music is international. So if you're listening in Iran, thank you so much for tuning into the Someone You Should Know podcast, heard wherever quality streaming audio is available. We're speaking with Denise Miller, who's had a very, very interesting career over the last 25 plus years. Denise, your dedication and talent have been recognized on multiple levels: Indie Music Channel Awards and Grammy ballot considerations. How have those impacted your journey?
I am a 20-year member of the Recording Academy, and I never put anything in because I didn't have anything to qualify. It's every year for the Grammy Awards. The members get to submit their new music and be considered to get on the first ballot. What happened was, I wrote a song for my very close friend. I had a close friend for 30 years. She had gotten cancer. When near the end of her fight, I wrote a letter, which was our story, which became a song for her. She did hear it, and I sat on the song for several years because it was too painful and personal to play out. And I started to play it a little bit. People said, "Oh, I love that song. Where can I get it?" And I said, "I'm sorry, it's not recorded." So finally in 2016, I said to her daughters, "Listen, do you mind if I record this and release it?" And they said, "Sure." So that year, the Recording Academy put through an email that for the first time, they're going to be accepting digital-only releases to be considered for the Grammy ballot. And if it was in these parameters and so forth. So the song fit. And I thought, well, all they can do is say no. That's my saying. So I sent it in, and I'm not a voting member. I'm a professional member. So I didn't see the voting ballot itself, and I wasn't sure what was going on. And then after the voting period was over, I was contacted by several people from around the world saying, "Oh my God, we love your song. We found you on the ballot and we supported you." What? I was in tears. So I got to go to the show that year, and I was invited to a couple of parties by the people who reached out for me, and I got to meet them and thank them in person. Since then, they've included me in their group of friends, of fellow artists. A lot of them are independent, some are major label, and they're very kind, down-to-earth, accepting, encouraging, warm people. So I've met a lot of wonderful friends, and that's how that happened.
Wonderful. I like that.
I found the Indie Music Channel through them.
Great. Music Indie Channel Awards. You've got that. I'm going to talk about another award here. Your good friend and my good friend, John Trelizzi, sent me this over the weekend. And he said, I don't know if you know this, but Denise Miller and Son have earned a platinum disc award on the AirplayExpress International Top 40 Traditional Country chart. So, John, thank you for submitting that to me. And I have to hear the story behind Richard. You started talking about it a little earlier, and it's a salute to the veterans. But tell me how this all came to be and how the success of the song has just blossomed.
I was in a local store, and I saw this little guy walking behind me, and he's pushing a cart, and he's got a cane up in the cart. So he walks with a cane, but not right now. So I saw the hat, and the hat said World War II veteran. So my father and uncle being World War II veterans, I had to go talk to him. And I did, and he was a charming little man, and he told me his life story. And I said to him, well, how old are you? Can I ask? And he said, "Oh, I'm beyond my time." And I never heard anyone say that. He said it a couple of times. But, at the end, we were separating. I said, "Oh, by the way, what's your name?" And he said, "Richard." And I said, "Thank you, Richard." And then a little light bulb went off in my head. So within about a week or so, I went home, I started writing, thinking, and I created this song. And I started playing it for people. And I showed it to my son and our few musicians that go with us in the studio. Denise Miller and Son, the band, is now basically a studio band. He has his own life now, a business and so forth, a family. But so we went into the studio and we made this record. And it turned out, I took it to the local American Legion Post where I'm a member. They played it. I took it to the local VFW. I took it to South Jersey VFW. My friends at the American Legion shared the song all the way up to the state office. And I went to another post, and some other people who were one guy who's a DJ, someone else who's in a popular local band. They said, "We're going to give this to everybody to play for Veterans Day." And they did. And as people hear it, they really like this.
Good.
So,
Wonderful.
It's been growing. It's been growing. And then I performed at the entertainment luncheon where I met John Terlizzi, and the people loved it. They were clapping along, and they even gave me a little standing ovation, which I was completely shocked. I didn't know that it would touch them. And then since then, it's the dot to dot method. One leads you here, which leads you there, which leads you there. And next thing you know, I'm doing radio shows and I'm contacting people and you've been so kind to be part of this. My goal is to have as many people as possible hear Richard and have themselves or the veterans and their family honored by it. Because lately a lot of very unkind things have been said about veterans in the last few years. And I think that's wrong. And I think veterans deserve respect and honor.
I totally agree. Myself being a 20-year veteran in the Air Force, whether you served one day or you served 30 years, you are a veteran and you are my brother or my sister. This is something that I have done for quite a long time. And my wife, Leslie, she always, "Why do you do that? Why do you do that?" Anytime I see someone wearing a veteran's hat or some type of veteran symbol or something like that, I've got to stop and say, "Thank you." I always say from one veteran to another, "Thank you." If they have an Air Force hat, I'll say, from one Air Force Zoomy to another Air Force Zoomy, "God bless you." If it's a Marine or a soldier, or if it's a seaman, I always take the time and say thank you. And it's just something I do. And this song is your way of doing this also. So we're going to feature that song right now. This is for all the past and present veterans like myself. This one is definitely for you. This is Richard from Denise Miller on the Someone You Should Know podcast.
Asked
Today's guest on the Someone You Should Know podcast, Denise Miller, touching song for the veterans. It's called Richard. That's a song that she did with her son. So Denise Miller and Son. So look for that single out. It is just great. And I got to ask you, plans for 2025. You say you play all over the southern New Jersey. Is that right?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Plans for 2025. You get a world domination, right? Exactly.
Right now, my focus is radio shows and podcasts to promote Richard. But I do play occasionally in some coffee houses or local restaurants and different events. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. The best way to follow what she's doing is probably through your social media. I know you've got a website. I've seen that. So tell us your website and where we can find you on social media.
Okay. My website is www.denisemillermusic.com. I have a Facebook page, Denise Miller Music. I have an Instagram. That's Denise_and_son. And that's basically
okay. So if you want to follow Denise, all you have to do is go down to the show notes. We'll have all the listing of where you can find her Facebook, her Instagram, and her website. Now, Denise, the next feature is my personal favorite, and I think I kind of stumped you initially when we were talking before we started here. It's called Tales from the Road. These are those infamous road stories where things didn't go as planned. You've had about 20 minutes to think now. Has anything mauled into your head as far as your Spinal Tap moment where you got on stage and all of a sudden something didn't go right, or you're getting to a gig or coming from a gig, or maybe recording or something? What might be your Tales from the Road, Denise?
I have one that sticks out. At my job, I worked in the casinos in Atlantic City, and the casino that I worked at had an employee talent show every year, and I was in it, and I was one of the winners in the previous year. This was many years ago. And what happened was I came out and I did a rock and roll song, and I found out later that my microphone out into the house, into the theater, was off. I heard myself through the monitors, but they couldn't hear my voice.
Oh, jeez.
And there was something about the microphone. And I was the last act of the show. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know right away. And I had the video. You could see after I got off and the MC comes on to do his talk, one of the stagehands comes out and took the microphone, replaced it with another one. And his friend was in the show.
Oh, geez.
And that's all I have to say about
awesome.
that.
Well, that's a perfect one. That is ideal. Thanks so much for your Tales from the Road, Denise, because it happens to everybody. I mean, it's one of these situations where after you've been on tour for X number of years and you had time to think about it and a time to get together with friends and talk about that over an ice-cold beer or maybe a bottle of wine. Thank you for your Tales from the Road, Denise. We're going to wrap things up with another song. This was released last year. This was called Lionheart. And tell us about this particular song and tell us what it means to you.
Lionheart is about remembering your inner strength. In the song, someone is at rock bottom, and the singer is telling them, you're going to get through this, you're going to make it, you're going to find your way back up because you're stronger than you know, and you have the heart of a lion. Encouraging the person that they will get over this, terrible episode that they're in. And that's my latest single.
Awesome. Very good. Lionheart is the final song. We're going to feature that right now.
And it's
Go ahead, Denise.
Denise Miller and Son.
And it's by Denise Miller and Son. Denise, it's been a real delight to have you on the podcast. I thank you so very much for taking some time out of your busy schedule and to tell us a little bit about your music and your career. And I wish you nothing but best for 2025.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure and an honor. Thank you.
Alabama with no hot water, paralyzed.
Hi, this is Rick Anthony, thanking you again for listening to this episode of Someone You Should Know. Now, if you're an aspiring musician or an established musician that's looking for a little exposure, I invite you to drop us a line at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. That's someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. Also, I invite you to tell a friend about the Someone You Should Know podcast. I thank you for tuning in this time, and I invite you to check us out next time on the Someone You Should Know podcast, because you never know who's going to show up. Until next time, remember, God loves you, and so do I.